Pulp MX Network production.
Bringing you a cheeky Brit and an American YouTube racing sensation weekly. It's the LVK More Than Moto podcast with your hosts, Lewis Phillips and Kellen Brauer.
Welcome back, everyone, to another Leatt LVK More Than Moto podcast. I am Kellen Brauer, joined by Lewis Phillips, and we are back from round one of the SMX playoffs. I should say Big Lou is back from round one. He was on hand at the Charlotte round of this series at ZMAX Dragway and is probably going to give us a lot of insight about what he saw and heard as everything was getting delayed. But first off, Big Lou, I know you're a little bit under the weather. How are things after the last few days and trying to recoup?
Well, first of all, I don't know, Kellen, if I'm going to be able to give you that much insight and whatever the other word you used was, because we didn't do any interviews and we were one moto short. So of all the races in 2025, Charlotte was probably the least valuable to attend. As a journalist, I think the fans still saw a lot, but as a journalist, least valuable.
Well, I specifically meant that you being there, you saw what announcements were being made to the public, what the fans are doing coming back into the stadium or not, what the track crew was doing down there because they were on the track at one point, then they had to get off the track. And so we'll get into some of that in a minute, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it sucks, right? Like, obviously delay. You guys didn't get any interviews or anything like that. And I'm sure you left there thinking like, well, now what? Right? Because normally we kind of take a lot of that post-race stuff and work on it afterwards. But did you just kind of go hang out or what?
Well, it wasn't actually a shorter day because technically by the time we got out of there, it was about the time the regular day would have finished. So it wasn't that much of a move from normality. But yeah, there's not, like, I would love to have a lot more to say on this podcast. I mean, I've not really sold it, have I? There's still plenty of stuff to talk about, but not quite as in-depth.
Was there part of you that wished that you'd caught a flight out like everyone else?
No, I'm not into that life, Kellen. That life doesn't appeal to me. That whole, let's rush around and get home as quickly as possible. Who cares?
Okay. All right. Good to know.
Yeah, no, it's not worth it. Huh?
You okay? The under the weather part isn't bothering you too much?
I just did the MXGP podcast, so I'm back-to-back podcasts, which isn't ideal. I just debated the origin of the hokey cokey or hokey pokey. That was the debate for 10 minutes. So I've really used all of my best stuff, Kellen, elsewhere. But I'll bring you my drips and drabs and
all right, good to know.
Whatever else. You also, you're not gonna. You should have introduced me as the new to the SMX Insider Live mashup. Why are you trying to hide me?
We're now speaking with a celebrity, Big Lou Phillips.
That's big news for LVK to get in.
Did they introduce you as Lewis Phillips from LVK when you walked onto the stage?
No. I think we introduced me as, I don't know why he's here, but Lewis Phillips.
that sounds very weege. Yeah. How was that, though? Did you actually enjoy being up there riffing with those guys?
Yeah, it was fine. It was good. I felt honoured to be a part of it. Obviously, I'm not an idiot. I realise that I don't really have the accolades or the respect to sit next to those five people. So it's not like I expected to be up there. It's not like I asked or anything. But they invited me. It was an honour. And one small step for man, one massive step for LVK. Also, in all seriousness, it really made me realise the importance of getting yourself out there, because I had 3 fans stop me as I was walking off the stage, and they said, "Oh my God, we really enjoyed you on that show, but we've never heard of you before. Where can we find your stuff? Like, where can we find you on YouTube?" So I told them about LVK and other things, and like, you forget, don't you? You think that everyone who wants to watch LVK has found it. You know?
I don't think that, but I think that if they see your face up there, you would assume to some level they kind of know who you are. I don't know. Like, I just assume fans that are that into it, that want to go to like a podcast mashup, are aware of a little bit deeper surface level of the sport than just like ex-pros.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
Do they want to go to the podcast mashup, or have they just been like, "What are we doing? Oh, I don't know. Oh, there's something going on over there," you know? And also, are they just there for Ricky and James? Probably. Like I'm different, obviously, because I know who everyone is. But let's say I was 7 and I'd never listened to a podcast, I would still go over there just to see Ricky and James in person. And then maybe you get... Because I would presume these people who said this to me, they can't know of Pulp, because if they know of Pulp, they would have seen me on Pulp.
Yeah.
So these people must just be getting exposed to media for the first time, which also points to a bigger room to grow. Like people just... We're turning fans from passive fans to engaged fans. God, I just did one heck of a sales pitch for the SMX Insider Life mashup. Really proving what I lack in accolades, I make up for in selling.
What you did is you did an excellent sales pitch onto why it's massively important that we pretty much beg to get into those kind of things.
I didn't beg. I didn't ask.
No, but I'm saying we should.
Oh,
we should be a little bit more forthcoming about trying to get into it. Like, I don't know, like
the biggest surprise.
Okay.
Biggest surprise, I reluctantly opened the YouTube video and thought, here we go. Not one negative comment about me. I've never had it before.
Wait, where was that other comment that you texted us, though?
That was on the Vital post-race show.
But they were talking about Steve.
Yeah, people just talk. People don't really care about where they're talking shit. They just kind of find a place and get ahead. Okay. If you want to read that comment, it's the YouTube Dumbass of the Week.
Not a good intro for that.
I wasn't prepared, Kellen. Give me a second. Also, massive news. You'll remember our inaugural YouTube Dumbass of the Week, Lazy Hefe?
Yeah?
He's back.
Yep.
He disappeared from the comment section ever since LVK. And then yesterday came back hard. So I replied to him with, "You're back! I'll give you another award." And he just replied with, "Yes, here I am." And I'm like, okay, you really are just dumb as hell, aren't you? Anyway, he's not our YouTube Dumbass of the Week. Our YouTube Dumbass of the Week is at QuedGold8668. Who the fuck does this Pommy Gronk think he is? Hashtag Pulp Jr. Him and Mathis look like rainbow emoji, greeny tree molesters. Clown, 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 100 emoji.
There's a lot to unpack from that.
I know. I don't really like. What is a tree molester?
Why is
why Mathis?
The new hot term is clown. I have seen the word clown be used so many places in the last 2 years, and it used to be just the most random insult. Now it seems like it is the insult. Like it's the same thing as just calling someone an idiot. You just instead use the word clown now. I don't remember that being the norm, but all right.
Well, Muppet also came and went, These things go in cycles.
Pommy Gronk?
I don't know what a Gronk is. What's a Gronk?
I don't know. The only Gronk I know of is a former football player, so...
Well, maybe he believes in me and feels like I am utilizing my potential here and I need to move into football.
Could be.
Okay, hold on.
I want to... Can I quickly ask you about the podcast
nice.
matchup again, though?
Yeah, I don't want to read. I don't want to read. I just found out what Gronk means, and now I'm emotional.
Yeah, don't go there.
Okay.
Did you find it hard, though, being up there to, I'm sure you did get your ideas and thoughts out there, but get a word in edgewise when basically everyone wants to hear what Stu and Ricky say?
Yeah, but I was quite proud of this because there was one YouTube comment that said something along the lines of, "Great job, Lewis, on waiting for your turn to talk and letting the goats speak." Because I do feel like I did a very good, again, understanding that I didn't necessarily belong up there. I very much just waited for a chance when I, A, definitely had something of value to add, or B, was spoken to. I felt anyway. I was happy.
Which is a good approach.
I never spoke over anyone. And I try to only talk when spoken to, or again, if I had something that I was like, well, I do have something that will add to this conversation. And I think that's a good representation of us here on LVK, Kellen.
It is. Yeah. We do not try to talk over each other, even though we like to argue and debate each other on the show. So,
do you want to know what Gronk means?
All right, go ahead.
A person that is totally lacking in fashion sense, motor skills, and social skills. Usually a total moron, an extremely unpleasant person, or an unwanted guest.
All right, then. Well, I'll add that to my vernacular now.
I feel sad.
Okay. Let's get into the show, though, shall we? We've been just riffing here for about 10 minutes. Of course, it's all brought to you by Leatt. At Leatt, protection is in our brand DNA. It started 20 years ago with the groundbreaking Leatt neck brace and continues today with an extensive product offering of protective gear and riding apparel. But what Leatt really stands for is inspiring confidence and ensuring safety with every ride. We got to see Leatt's Justin Hill back on the track this weekend, as we did Kyle Chisholm. Good to see some Leatt athletes making some waves here in the SMX World Championship. And, of course, you can head to leatt.com to check out their extensive line of accessories. All right, let's get into our first topic of the day. Of course, everyone still kind of wants to kind of debate or be mad about the delay and then the race being postponed or canceled, I should say, but it was already halfway done. Yada, 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 yada. You've heard it probably at 50 other podcasts at this point. But I did want to get into, so we heard Mike Mewey on Pulp MX last night kind of explain the various reasons why it would have been hard to continue. They were running out of daylight at the speedway. There was more lightning issues in the area. They couldn't just prepare by having multiple floodlights available, as he said. And then he talked about how on Sunday, if they had just delayed and then done the races the next day, finding a slot to get into Peacock against all the college football and regular football games would have been tough, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So he had a bunch of reasons why. But basically why I wanted to bring this up again is we were 15 minutes away from not even getting the first 450 moto in, because if this storm had come a little bit earlier, then we would only had one 250 moto and no 450 motos done. So this is why I think it's a bit of a problem, because how are they going to plan for this in the future? Never mind the fact that this one was canceled at halfway. What happens in the future if we do have a weather delay that pushes all of this back at another event or venue? Say it happens at Vegas again. Like, are we going to be totally screwed? Like, are we going to see an event canceled if this happens because of the lightning delays? Or how should they prepare for this in the future so that it doesn't happen again?
I guess that is the reality. It's one of the downfalls of the American sport structure of a single-day format. Like, we've seen this in MXGP multiple times. China last year, they cancelled Saturday completely because of the weather and monsoon, and then ran a one-day format on Sunday. Multiple times in MXGP has the race or the event been cancelled after the first motos. But there's a little more wiggle room because you are there Saturday and Sunday. For instance, Kozar this year, I think it was, there were rumours or reports from the paddock on Friday that the weather was so bad that there was discussion about just moving the programme to a single-day format on Saturday. A lot more room to just move around and juggle things. Obviously, when you're just renting the speedway for one-day event on one day, kind of how a one-day event works, clues in the name, you don't really have that privilege. So I don't know what the reaction or the move would be. I mean, I guess they would just cancel it and we would go to St. Louis as normal and do double points and do triple points at the finals and Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, but I don't know that would really pass the fly test a little bit, because okay, if you cancel a regular season race, like remember, Oakland a few years ago because of flooding, it got postponed. They eventually did run it, but like, I just, stuff like that where there's ability to move that around makes a little bit more sense, but I don't know what they do if an actual playoff race can't go off. Like, the whole point of this is to have this 3-race championship. And why people are so mad is because instead of a 6-moto race, it's now a 5-moto race. And like, I don't know. I think that there definitely needs to be some sort of alternate option always considered for the playoffs specifically. I don't know about floodlights. I don't think that's a solution. But make it possible so that you could run on Sunday if everything Saturday gets canceled. Like, preemptively think about that as an option, because it sounds like they kind of didn't. It sounds like they really did not have a fail-safe for if weather totally ruined Saturday. So
you can't. That's dumb as hell. You can't prepare for that because the only way to prepare for that or be ready for that is to book everyone's flights a day later. Say to the speedway, we want to rent you on Sunday just in case. So the only way to prepare is just to have that massive cost outlay and potentially not use it.
They have the speedway Sunday. That should be clarified. That okay, maybe they can't run a event where there are fans in the stands on Sunday because that is going to be too hard to maneuver around. But they don't just It's not like the race ends Saturday and everybody's out and the dirt's out and the whole facility is cleaned up by Sunday. Like, that's not how this works. So they still had it Sunday. It just, they said logistically it was going to be too tough to welcome fans back in and have Peacock fit in a slot for them on Sunday and et cetera. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I think
get the crews to St. Louis in time, and still need to clean up the speedway. I don't know what the speedway's got going on this week. It doesn't make sense. It's not possible in any way, shape, or form. Security detail, all of that sort of stuff. The fencing needs to come down. I don't understand. I'm actually very surprised, Kellen, that a man of such common sense and respect, such as yourself, has suggested that this should be a plan, because it just doesn't work. There are so many
I'm not
layers.
saying that it should be a plan, but you should have at least the thought in your mind that if something goes massively awry on Saturday, you have an idea in hand to fix it. Like, I don't think that just canceling the event is the solution in the future. And again, it didn't happen this time, but it could if they have nonstop lightning delays in a window in which they wanted to have the race and run out of daylight on Saturday. Like, again, if the storm comes an hour earlier, they don't even race at all Saturday. So I think that they need to have an alternative plan of some kind in mind, which is exactly what the fans are pissed off about, is that they seemingly did not. I'm not talking about lighting, I'm not talking about any of that. I'm just saying any idea for how to dance around a massive weather delay in the future.
I mean, it's rare for lightning to really stretch for that long, so I don't think it's ever going to be like, oh, we've got a whole day of lightning, so we can't run. Because again, it's not the rain that's the problem; it's the lightning. And is there ever been a situation in life where there's been wall-to-wall lightning from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., so we're fucked? I don't think there has.
No, but in this specific case, of course, they did not want to start the race prior to 3 p.m. because that is when they had the NBC window. So then you have 3 p.m. to, let's say, 8 p.m. when daylight really starts fading away from you to fit in this race, so a 5-hour window. And that's where you're kind of stuck up against it, because if the weather does hit in that 5-hour window, which is possible, I've definitely seen storms last that long. I mean, shit, I've been stuck in the Denver airport for longer than that because of lightning. So it could happen. I think that's all fans are asking for, is that you consider any kind of alternative option moving forward, because I at this point, I wish I would have seen what would happen if it did cancel the first motos, because what would they have done? Do you think they would have literally just canceled the entire event?
I guess if a forecast said that there was going to be extensive lightning storms from noon to the nighttime, I'd imagine they would have moved the motos to the morning and used the free practice times as qualifying, and that's your workaround. That seems the most logical. And yeah, you just have to figure out the TV slot, but that can't be that too hard to do. Obviously, they wanted to take advantage of the NBC time. And to be honest with you, I don't have like the technology that everyone else does, but I was monitoring weather forecasts all day, and at no point did I see a forecast that said we were going to be hit by lightning at around that time. It all seemed to be once the event was done. I was really surprised that the storm came in that early. So it's not like you can say, oh, well, all week we should have been ready for this lightning to hit at this time, because I don't think there was anything that said it was coming that early.
Yeah, and to be clear with my thoughts, I 100% understand why they waited as long as they did. I mean, again, the southeast of the U.S., the weather is as unpredictable as it gets. So you can't just preemptively think that it's going to hit at this exact time. So we got to make sure that we're in and out of there before then. Like, there's no way they could have planned for that or thought of that. So I'm just saying from a reactive standpoint in the future, if a weather delay causes major problems again, like I think they need a little bit of some sort of dance around to make that work. And maybe if they hadn't got the first motos in, they would have waited even longer to see if the lightning clears, and then we run motos at 7 p.m. quickly to get out of there or something like that. But I don't know. I think that they maybe looked a little unprepared for all of this in the end. So
no, I disagree. I think this shit happens. Like the weather. Look at F1 at Spa in 2021. Yes, they also got criticised, but And I guess that was a very different situation because it's not lightning and it's not mud and whatever else. But point being, there are instances where the weather comes in, it's relentless, and what can you do? And that's kind of where we found ourselves. Like, I don't know what more. I honestly don't know what they could have possibly done, and that's going to make me unpopular because everyone wants answers and wants us. The best way to be popular is to sit here right now and go, they screwed the fans. How dare they? I side with you, you know, and then you're going to be really popular. But ultimately, that's not the case. There wasn't. I'm racking my brain now. I cannot think of a single scenario that they could have done that would have been beneficial or helped or anything. So, yeah, shit happens. Then you move on to St. Louis.
Can I ask from the standpoint of this then, if it did get canceled, like let's say those motos don't run and they have to fully cancel the Charlotte event, do you think that, because so they're doing this for SMX next, they're having a makeup race at St. Louis, would that be a possibility to entertain? Like you say, everyone get here Thursday, we're running a one-day format Friday and a one-day format Saturday?
I've seen a lot of people suggest that even with the second motos, but I don't like that because, yes, they did it with WMX and yes, they're doing it with SMX next, but with all due respect, we are the pinnacle of motorsport. Hey, the race was cancelled due to weather. Move on. Not, let's just get everyone together and run a little side race here to make it up, and then everyone's got their number of races they wanted in. No, like, we're a professional sport. That race was cancelled due to weather. Move on. Like, I think it would be very circusy and unprofessional if we were just like, hey, yeah, we're just going to make up the second moto on Wednesday in St. Louis just so we've got it done. Like, yeah, shit happens. The weather caused it to be cancelled. There you go. That was Charlotte's narrative. We ran the first moto, we had these winners, and the second moto was cancelled due to weather. That's it. Like, we don't need to be dancing around and trying to make it up because ultimately, who said you need 6 motos? Yeah, it's on the calendar, but that's not... Like, yeah, okay, maybe Chase would have won the second moto and he would have gained points, and some of the points he lost in the seeding. Justin Cooper would have made up ground. Maybe Joe could have rebounded. Yeah, but like, okay, so all of those riders maybe have a reason to think that a second moto would benefit them, but that's just, you got to play the elements, and this is one of them.
Yeah, I'll just finish this topic by saying I think my solution, and I'm not a part of this at all, and I don't want to be or care to be, but I think that I would, if them, entertain a way to make it so that you could figure out a way to run the race the next day. I know that rushes everything else, and you have to logistically figure out how to get camera operators and everything back there for another day. But these guys, Feld and the SMX series, want to be a major motorsport. And another major motorsport is NASCAR. And NASCAR figures out all the damn time how to run races on a Monday when they get rained out on Sunday. They finished the Daytona 500 at 3 a.m. one time. Like, they know how to do it. So learn from that and don't allow this to be a possible detriment to your own series where you might even have to cancel the whole event because you haven't planned ahead. That's my only idea that I think is something they should just at least be slightly prepared for.
I don't know anything about NASCAR, but my only rebuttal is much easier when you are a series that is going to venues that is specifically built for your series.
No, it is for sure. And I 100% know them pushing like another moto to Sunday or both motos to Sunday or whatever causes a lot more rushed schedule and problems for them getting to St. Louis. I get it. I'm not arguing that one bit. But if you want to be considered as part of these other major motorsports, you got to figure out how to get your races in at all costs.
I think it would have been super, super, super janky if we ran Moto 2 on Sunday morning.
I don't think they should have ran Moto 2. I am on the opinion of we got half the schedule done, we're good. That's how it works in other motorsports. They get through halfway through a NASCAR race, they call it. They get through halfway of an F1 race, except Spa, that one time, they call it. So I'm fine with that. Again, just trying to think preemptively for the future, something to consider. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm going to tell you guys about Racetech, though. For 40 years, Racetech has been supplying the motorcycle industry with high-quality suspension components made right here in the USA. For modern and vintage, Racetech is your go-to source for suspension performance. Guys, head over to racetech.com. Get your suspension service. They got high-performance springs, gold valve kits, conversions, components, and more. And there's a ton of service centers all across the U.S. and even in Europe, Lewis. Did you know Racetech has service centers in Europe?
I do now, Kellen.
Glad that you are aware of that now, so you can tell all of your European buddies to get their suspension done as well. All right, let's get into my second topic. Valentin Guillod is turning some heads again in SMX because he was near the top of the board and qualifying quite a bit on Saturday, and then ran inside of the top 10 basically the entire one moto that they had, and crashed late, got 14th, but certainly didn't look out of place around Justin Barcia and other guys in that echelon. And he, at the moment at least, maybe his things have changed since the last time I spoke to him, but he does not have a lockdown ride for 2026 yet to stay here, and he wants to. So basically what should he do? Like, what is the solution for Guillod to stay here racing, and what teams should really be giving him a hard look at this point?
Well, I think the Guillod should take advantage of the interest shown in him by the Partzilla PRMX team, Kellen, and sign for that well-run organisation.
Well done. Good sponsor plug.
Seems like a match made in heaven, and as he makes his move to the USA full-time, if he needs anything, he can head to partzilla.com and stock his shelves.
Great ad read. I'm loving this. So you think Partzilla PRMX is the move?
Well, they are. I know they're interested in him. I believe that AEO is somewhat interested in him. He wants club, but I don't think club is an option. And I don't think there's any other options out there for him. I think that I had this conversation with him. He said he expected it to be easier to find a ride. And I think that when you are looking at the American series from a distance, it looks like there are all of these top teams. But when you get closer, you realize that actually it's very similar to MXGP, where you have the factory teams who are doing it properly, and then you have the lower level teams that have their faults and whatever else. So I think that he's maybe woken up to that harsh reality, because when you talk to him, he's very sincere in saying that he just thought that this was a land of opportunity, and it maybe isn't to the degree that he expected. So yeah, either PRMX or AEO, sure, one of those. I mean, he's going to be solid. I think we've learned that from him, that no matter the scenario or what's going against him, he can pull out results. And yeah, I think, and he's proven now that he can do Supercross to a degree. So all systems go.
Can I pitch an idea that might sound ridiculous, but I think legitimately could work?
Sure.
Buy his own Yamaha 450 or whatever bike he wants to ride. I would assume Yamaha since he's been on one. And take it to A1, and the first couple of rounds next year, just do your thing, privateer effort, make it to the races, and hope, because it's likely to happen, that someone that's going to race 250 East on a factory bike is hurt before round one. And go to that team and be like, look, I got no ties, no problem. I can get out of everything I got right now and ride your bike at Detroit or wherever. Because I think it could work.
Yeah, but fill-in rides don't really happen anymore.
Yeah, but I think if... Okay, again, I'm being a dick here, but let's say this happens to PC again, because it's happened before. And they've almost gone to the East Coast races without a rider before because of how many guys will get hurt under that tent. But let's say it happens again. Why, if you're Mitch Payton, would you not just float a contract over anyway and take a chance on him? Because there's every chance that he just turns into a top 5 guy all season long for you on 250 East.
Probably for the same reason that he hasn't hired a fill-in, well, apart from Masterpool Outdoors last year, but that was kind of a different deal because it's Masterpool. When was the last time Mitch had a fill-in Supercross? I honestly can't remember. Was Darcy Lange a fill-in? I feel like Darcy Lange was a fill-in.
It's had to have been since then that he's had a fill-in. There's no way that you have to go that deep.
I honestly can't think of one.
Gannon Audette?
Yes. What was that, like 18?
16, somewhere in there.
Still, point stands. yeah, that sounds great on paper. And also, chances, okay, someone might get hurt, but they also might be back after 4 weeks. So, yeah, I did all this, and now I've got a shot on a bike for 2 weeks or whatever. You know, like it's not just a factor of someone getting hurt. It has to be an injury that keeps them sidelined for the whole season. Otherwise, the opportunity isn't worth it, and also they won't even fill in. I just think that we've seen enough now in the sport worldwide that fill-in opportunities don't really exist unless there are extenuating circumstances. So it's not worth the risk at all. Take the support from a PRMX and go racing. It's much better than what you've got now, so why not take advantage of the benefit?
What about this? I hadn't even thought about it until this moment, but Julien Beaumer's injury is bad. Not a good one. Burst fracture of his disc in his back. And all that I read about with that is it's going to be a long road to recover. Chances are that he makes it back for Supercross. I mean, I don't know. Like they could have a miraculous recovery, but it sounds like it's not super likely. So should Guillod be calling Roger this week?
I think Masterpool's probably calling Roger this week.
Okay, if you're Roger, are you picking Ty Masterpool or Valentin Guillod?
I'm picking Guillod over Ty. I'm also probably
Because
picking
of
a lot of people
potential,
over. No, just because of headache. I just
Okay.
I just kind of want someone who's going to just do the work and turn up and be normal.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to go through the hoops of like, where is he this week and how's the mood and are we into it or are we not into it?
Because,
but again,
I mean, like, seriously,
when was the
what
last
does
time you saw,
KTM do if Beaumer's not there?
when was the last time you saw a fill-in rider on KTM? Has it ever happened?
I mean, they had Paulatelli race for them one time.
That was Monster Cup, so I don't know if you can really... I think that was more of a tryout than a fill-in.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of one.
Yeah, so like they don't necessarily need to. At the end of the day, 250s isn't that important because ultimately, the way it's trending, they're going to go racing next year with only one 250 rider. So on one coast, they're not going to have anyone anyway. So it can't be that big of a deal or a commitment. So unless there is an absolutely incredible opportunity now, I don't think teams are inclined to do fill-in riders. And I have the stats and the history to back myself up.
But you could even make a case that Guillod would not even need to be a fill-in rider. You just sign a 1 year deal with KTM. Would that not be... You think Guillod wouldn't race a 250 outdoors here?
No, he will. He said that. He's gone on record. He'll race... He wants 250 Supercross and either 250 or 450 outdoors. He doesn't really care. Okay, yeah, cool. In Fantasyland, that's cool. But the question isn't... Hey, do you think Guillod would sign a 1 year deal with Factory KTM? The question is, are Factory KTM going to want to put a 1 year deal on the table? And the answer is no, because they're still going to have to pay Juju. Who knows when Juju will be back? And is it that important? No, probably not.
All right.
Especially when they've got AEO. If Guillod makes that call, they're probably more likely to say, hey, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Go and sign for AEO. We want you on a KTM. Go and do that.
What are the chances right now you think that Guillod, with his prospects available to him, he just says, no, not worth it and goes back to Europe?
0. I think he's said to me that he's not going back. If he goes back to Europe, it'll be retirement.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Does he retire based on... Okay.
I think
he's going to be here next year, but he's just trying to find the best opportunity.
Yeah, and I think worst case, he probably disappears and then rides outdoors again.
Okay. Well, I just want him to find a ride, man. Like, are you not like impressed? Obviously, he was good outdoors. We kind of expected there would be those flashes from him. He seems to be back to some level of his old self before all of those injuries in the early 2020s. So are you not impressed with how well he adapted to SMX already? Like, the dude was so fast in qualifying.
Yeah, of course. On Friday, he actually looks a little bit sketchy, and I was concerned. But on Saturday, he was on the board, and yeah, he looks great. I'm very impressed. I think this must motivate some MXGP guys. I mean, ultimately, Charlotte really just looked like Indonesia or whatever else with a rhythm section.
You're drinking the antsy juice too much by saying that.
No, it did though. Once he put the idea in my head, I could really see it. Like I could really see it. I mean, Vial said it before as well. Like that's been JT's thing with Vial in the press conferences. Like this isn't apart from the rhythm section, which St. Louis will be a little bit more of a departure from motocross. This isn't that dissimilar to MXGP's pop-up tracks.
Okay, but again, let's go back to that rhythm section. a lot of really good dudes rolled the windows up in that thing every single session, basically. And Guillod never crashed in it. So
Well, he
there
did,
you
on,
go.
he did on the last lap of the main.
Oh, that's where he crashed? I thought he
think so.
crashed in the back.
No, I think he said the rhythm, didn't he?
Oh, I don't know. But either way, like, there you go. Proof in the pudding that against all the best world's riders in Supercross, he looked totally normal.
Yeah, he's good.
So, I don't know. I think that there should be a few more teams taking a look, in my opinion. If you're any of those teams that have a potential slot open, you should be looking there.
Well, I think the only team that has a slot that you could be critical of for not looking is Club.
I guess, but okay. Any of those other teams, Bar X, AEO?
Well, I just said AEO. And I think he might have said the Bar X does have an opening.
So, I don't know. He's very talented. I think he deserves a look, and I'm curious to see what the next couple of weeks does for his own stock. I mean, shoot, if he gets in the top 10 against factory bikes, I don't know why if you're a 250 program, you're turning the other cheek at this point. So anyway, big shout out to Namura. Namura Technologies has been a trusted name in performance engine components for motocross, ATV, UTV, and personal watercraft for over 20 years. From complete rebuilds to high performance upgrades, Namura delivers precision engineered parts built to perform under pressure. Their expanding lineup includes cast and forged pistons, connecting rods, gasket kits, engine valves, and cylinder kits, all designed to meet or exceed OEM specifications. You can find full product details and application coverage at namura.com. Excuse me. My last topic, though, Big Lou. We've got a handful of guys that are on the fringe, and I want to knock on wood because I don't want to curse them now, but guys that have really struggled over the last handful of years to not make it all the way through a season that are about to do so. And obviously, Seth Hammaker kind of leading the charge in that because he has been hurt a lot in his pro career, and he's about to have a full season under his belt for the first time ever. But also Austin Forkner coming back from massive injuries and a team change, and sneakily so, Nate Thrasher, who won a race this year, has also made every single race, barring one, I think, that he missed for his hand. No, he didn't even miss a race for the hand, so there you go. So first of all, surprising that these guys have done the deed all year long, and then second of all, who's this the biggest deal for? Like, what does this matter the most for career-wise for these three guys to actually put a full season under their belt?
I think it has to be Faulkner, doesn't it? Mainly
I would say so.
I think I think the answer completely correlates to potential, because I, for some reason, didn't look at Hammaker in the same vein as Faulkner and Thrasher, and I think it's because when Hammaker was racing, he wasn't winning like the other two. I think the fact that Faulkner and Thrasher always won at least once a year made it more obvious and more, what's the word, more outrageous that they just couldn't keep it going. Whereas Hammaker was more like a steady podium guy who couldn't keep it going, so maybe it was less on your mind. Obviously now that narrative's changed. Hammaker has proven to maybe be the most capable of the trio. But I think Faulkner was definitely the most, where he definitely got the most criticism, didn't he? Which is almost unfair, again, because he arguably showed the most potential out of the three. But I don't think it really matters what happens from now on, because I think they've all gone on record and said, we made it through the regular season. So that's what matters. Like, SMX is kind of a bonus, which I agree with to an extent.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want them to get hurt now because then it'll totally screw up their chances for 2026. But no, I agree. Faulkner coming through the, issues that he had, obviously following his crash with PC and then brain surgery and then team switch. And I mean, look, there was points in time in Supercross where I think everyone was like, this is not going well. Is he ever going to turn it around? And he's worked his way back into a top 5 guy outdoors. He just got a top 5 at the opening round of SMX. Like, this is starting to trend in a massively positive direction. And I guess now, really what we should do is we should look back at those tough times that Faulkner was having and almost applaud that he didn't ride so far over his head at that point in time and wad up. That might have been the end based on where things were at, no?
Yeah, and even it's crazy to think that earlier in Supercross, Triumph was so disillusioned with Faulkner and his slow start that there were rumours that they were going to cut him and whatever else. It's perhaps some sort of motivation for teams to invest in a guy and try to rebuild him and maybe take the long route and hope that it pays off in the end. Of course, it's always going to be risky. But Faulkner could be a new sort of case study that, like, yeah, be patient, rebuild someone up, and then you get your winner that maybe you never could have attracted if he was just on top form from day one. I mean, it's true. Well, if he'd never got hurt, Faulkner would probably be on a 450 by now. But if last year was super successful, he would have stayed at PC. Triumph never would have got a rider of that caliber. Now, because they were willing to take a shot, they may end up with a rider of that caliber, just it took a little longer.
Yeah, I mean, this might turn out fantastic for them in 2026, depending on how well he kind of improves. But what I'm curious about with this now is, look, we've seen many examples of this, but it's starting to become a little bit more of the norm of these guys that are coming back from mega injuries of just make it through the season, like just get your feet underneath of you again. And maybe more so teams are willing to invest in that. I mean, like Voland is an example too. Obvious massive injury almost ended his career. Now he's made every single round. And then even if you go back a year before this, Pierce Brown was a guy that always crashed, always got hurt, missed a lot of races. Then he made every single race last year and won the last round of the year when he had never won a professional race in his career before then. So don't you think that you look at these guys, you look at a Pierce Brown, and you have to start envisioning why a guy like Mitch Payton is willing to keep some of these projects that he has, because at any point in time they could get that magic again, and more teams are maybe willing to take that risk again. Like, okay, Casey Cochran is another example. He keeps getting hurt, but he keeps getting a contract to come back and ride for the same program because they know what's in there, right?
Oh, yeah, that's actually quite an interesting juxtaposition because, yeah, does this justify Mitch keeping them around? Yes, but then is a program like Pro Circuit the place to rebuild a rider? Maybe not. Maybe that's more for teams struggling to find success. I don't know. That is a very weird juxtaposition. I think, yes, it gives some credit to Mitch keeping them guys around, but it doesn't give Mitch credit to keeping all of them around, because there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I think if it's an isolated incident with just one rider, then sure, it's always worth it. But when it's a couple of your riders, then I think you need to be a little more critical and maybe move a little quicker. I mean, we saw it with Faulkner. He let him go, although I don't think that was necessarily his decision. Yeah, I don't know. Weird. I mean, you could say the same about Ryder D.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's a great example. Again, a guy that seemed to, obviously get a little bit hurt at the start of his career and nowhere near the success that he thought he was going to have when things started getting going. But, I mean, again, now he's a guy that's battling for top fives. And when a handful of these guys step out of the class next year, that should turn into podiums. I mean, the sky could be the limit for Ryder D next year, the same way that it is for Faulkner, no?
Oh, Kellen, I'm a big Ryder D guy, and I am very happy with what I saw in Charlotte. Moved forward, 11th to the edge of the top 5. I think Ryder D wins races in 2026. And I think Ryder D ends up top 5 in SMX points. Actually, I don't know. Where did he seed? Maybe that hurts my prediction. I
think his seeding was okay.
I always forget that we have the seeding points. Like, then I said that purely thinking about, like, Charlotte, St. Louis, Vegas. I forget that there's already some points involved. He's ninth
in points.
Yeah, and only 6 from the top 5. Yeah, I think Ryder D gets top 5 in the points. Let's track that progress. He was my standout from Charlotte, because he also moved forward to get there. Although maybe not a surprise, because he's been very good at Charlotte in the past. Also, I said this on the Vital show. I interviewed Barsha on Friday, and he was Barsha's very fast and loose at the moment, because he's at the end of his contract. Everyone knows, no one cares. And he was explaining how, I've had all these suspension problems. Chase got hurt at Ironman, and then suddenly I got his suspension guy more resources, and I fixed all my problems. And I said to him, like, oh, so when like the top guy goes out, you actually notice an immediate difference from being a priority. And he was like, yeah, it's amazing. So relating this to Rider D, with Juju out, and that kind of being it, I mean, Cochrane's returning, Bennick's going there, but I think Rider D will be the number one guy heading into 2026 from the Austrian group's 250 perspective. Maybe that helps him. Maybe that is what takes him to the next level. I think that's a very interesting way of looking at it. I mean, Rider D or Bennick, you're back in Rider D, right?
Yeah, of course.
I personally think the Bennick signing is a curious one. I don't really know. I think you could be quite critical of the riders, not the riders, but just the general decision making in the KTM group outside of KTM. And I think Bennick's another one where I'm like, why? What have we seen there? What are we going for? Like,
exactly to the point of this entire topic, though, of sticking with a guy and building him up to success. Bennick was a KTM lifer up until he turned pro. So he was within that organization. He operated with a lot of the same people that he's going to work with when he goes there next year. And I think for them, they look at this as an opportunity to reignite that old flame that existed when he was a highly touted amateur, borderline more so than Deegan was, and winning a lot of championships. And I think that they see that the same way they see it with Cochrane, the same way they saw it for a long ass time with Swole and guys like that, where they just chose to stick with guys until they delivered.
Yeah, but Swole was a scuba / Bobby Hewitt love affair.
Okay, well, I would say Bennick is a Ramsey love affair.
Yeah. What other names did you list in that group? Swole.
Cochrane.
Cochrane's not been around that long. You've used Cochrane a few times. He's barely pro.
But that's the problem. He should have turned pro like 3 years ago, but he keeps getting hurt.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying is they're sticking with him because they know what potential is in there.
I don't know if I'm putting Bennick in the same category because Faulkner, we've seen him win. Thrasher, I mean, I'm not really a Thrasher guy, but we've seen him win. Hammaker, we've seen enough podiums, although, to be honest with you, I can't really recall how many there were before this year.
He did win a race before this year, too. You got to remember.
Not Supercross, outdoor?
Yep. No, Supercross. He won Houston 220.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. No, yeah, Houston 2021, right? 2021?
Was it Houston or Indy or something like that?
No, it's Houston for sure. 100% Houston.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Indy. In my head, I was thinking that we made a big deal out of Indy because it was his first win. No, we made a big deal out of Indy because it was his first win in
a long time,
4 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, to my point, exactly. Bennick doesn't fit, I don't think, in that group. Apart from 2 podiums, I don't know if you've seen anything from Bennick consistently where you'd go, that's the guy I'm betting on.
No, but those 2 podiums are certainly tantalizing. They stand out, especially if you can hone that in.
Yeah, but they're both at the first round, so like it's a bit odd. Like, what do you think they think they're getting out of Bennick? Because realistically, I think you're probably getting 4 or 5 top 5 finishes across the whole of SMX.
Oh, I legitimately think that they can find the magic again. Otherwise, they wouldn't take that chance. In my opinion,
yeah,
I haven't
find the magic
talked
again
about it. But
what is find the magic again?
He was 1A, 1B, whatever you want to call it, of amateur talent at one point in time in this country.
Yeah, and
that's
so
the magic.
Was insert long list of riders
and
here.
So was Cochrane. That's why they keep going to that program. Like they're digging into the well of these guys that at one point or another were the top of their class.
Yeah, but I think the positioning is different because at Husky, and maybe this goes deeper into the whole hierarchy of the KTM group. At Husky, Bennick isn't going in and like the guy in the corner. You know, like realistically, the reason that Thrasher can stay around is because he's not one of the guys they're relying on to win a championship. Hammaker, you could argue the same because there's Kitchen and whatnot. And Faulkner, you could argue the same, although obviously not because Triumph were publicly frustrated with him at the start of the year. Bennick, you're kind of hiring him at Husky as your guy. So it's not so much a like, hey, we've got this winner, and then we're going to develop Bennick in the background. It's more of a forward-facing signing.
Okay. I mean, I understand that logic for sure, but I think you can almost see the difference of opinion with PC and Star versus what KTM is trying to do with their program. Like they have hung on to guys longer, although PC has as well, but they've hung on to guys longer that have not consistently delivered, knowing or believing that is in their some level. PC, a guy wins for them and then they want to hold on to them. And that's the same thing with Star. I think with the KTM group, they may not win, but they are invested in bringing that to its maximum potential. And then if it doesn't work out, then we part ways.
I'm not sure how that relates to Bennick.
Because I think that they look back to where they've come from in the past with him, and they're going to give him every opportunity to find that again for the next couple of years. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
I feel like you're overplaying the Bennick KTM history a little bit, no?
No, he was KTM lifer.
Yeah, but like it's not like he was like he's not like he was hand in hand with Roger and Ian, and he was the prodigy they were bringing up, and they're bringing him home. You know, like he was just kind of a KTM rider. He was on an orange bike.
He's going to Husky. Yes, Roger and Ian have a huge hand in how all that is structured. But he's going to a program where the team manager is the guy that was his team manager when he was an amateur. So that's where the connection is. That's where it all lies.
And that goes all the way back to my questionable decision making.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to explain why I think they stick with them. And then, again, back to the beginning of this topic, why it matters for guys like a Faulkner, Thrasher, Hammaker to prove to their own teams that the decision to stick with them or go with them in the first place was the right move. And in Faulkner's case, it literally was stick with him because at the beginning of the season, the clouds were rather dark and they did not cut ties or go down that bad well.
Well,
so,
let's not
there you go.
Let's not sugarcoat it. I think the reason they didn't cut ties is because they were worried about how they would look after the Joey and Evan Ferry thing. I don't think it was we want to believe in you. Let's go to the top together. I think it was like, oh, this is going to look quite bad on us. We better not do this.
Right.
So let's not give them all the credit in the world there. Yeah, cool. I think I just used one of my topics, which wasn't a topic, but I'll claim it.
That's okay.
I'll claim it. I'm going to claim one of those topics as mine.
Well, let me tell you about Partzilla.com. They're the premier OEM parts dealer and distributor for the USA. They sell OEM parts for Honda, Kawasaki, Polaris, Can-Am, Suzuki, Arctic Cat, Sea-Doo, Ski-Doo, and Yamaha motorcycles, ATVs, PWCs, and snowmobiles. Visit Partzilla.com to see their extensive line of parts and accessories. And, of course, Blaster Power, PRMX, Partzilla, Kawasaki's Mitchell Harrison puts it right into the show, 20th at the opening round. Didn't notice him much all day, did you, Big Lou?
No, but you say all day. It wasn't much of a day.
You're right about that, half day. What about our guy Yoder? Did you watch the LCQ?
Yes, and I guess he had many bike problems.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing as well, but hopefully that's ironed out for next week. And I mean, we're going indoors. Yoda loves supercross. So
Yoda was definitely like
a little bit better there.
Of both classes. Yoda was definitely the biggest upset, I think.
Yeah,
because there's no way that Yoda should not be in the lineup with someone like Gage Linville or whatever getting in there.
Yeah, and I'm sure he'll feel that way coming into St. Louis. So, but yeah, all right. You got any quick topics for us?
Yes. Sticking with a silly season theme. What the hell does Kawasaki do with their second seat, presuming that Prado isn't staying there?
Man, that is quite the conundrum. Guillod?
That's kind of... I was almost going to shoehorn this in after the Guillod talk. I think Guillod wants that. I don't think that's really going to appeal to Kawasaki.
Why?
Because he's... Realistically, what's his ceiling? 10th?
Okay, you had Fabian Iswa ride that Kawi almost the entire season after Villopoto got hurt. I don't know.
Fill-in rider, Kellen. Fill-in rider.
Okay, let's say Guillot's a fill-in rider then.
But who's he filling in for? The rider that isn't contracted to us anymore.
Yeah.
I know this has already been shot down, and I know it's not going to happen. So I'm talking purely hypothetically. I think that if I'm Kawi, I'm giving Craig a Supercross only contract. Why not? Of all the options out there now, I think he's probably the best bet.
Again, here's why I will go back to this, okay? That's fine. And he would probably do a little bit better than Guillod in Supercross, but he's not going to do better than him outdoors, in my opinion. So why would you take that
That
risk?
would be the brilliance of the Supercross-only contract I mentioned, Kellen.
And then you give Guillod an outdoor seat?
No, and you'd bump Marchbanks or whoever else up for outdoors, which I think is where they're going to end up eventually. I think that's where they're going anyway. I think it's Supercross that is maybe the pressure point. I think
You think Marchbanks, who just finished third in pro motocross and Deegan is walking out of the class next year, doesn't think he could win the title?
I think that, no, I'm using Marchbanks as an example. I think that a PC rider gets promoted by outdoors next year. I just don't think that any of them get promoted for Supercross. I think that's the sticking point. Please talk so I can cough.
Okay. I mean, Craig is not a bad choice. I think that he would do a good service as your second rider there. And I think it would be...
Also,
What?
you just made the critical error that we've all been making. You said Craig will get you solid results in Supercross, but what's he really going to do outdoors? Craig is a better outdoor rider than he is Supercross as far as 450 record goes. But none of us seem to remember
he is
that.
good, but... No, of course I remember that, but this is not Christian Craig that was 28 years ago, 28 years old a handful of years ago. He is older. I don't think that he's going to have those same performances outdoors because we're seeing more and more of the guys that are getting into their mid-30s not be able to deliver outdoors as well.
Well, on that, I had a Eli Tomac thought yesterday, sprung to me. A brilliant one, if I must say so myself. His outdoor season was very similar to 2024 Supercross. And he came into 2025 Supercross much improved. So maybe we just give him a pass for 2025 outdoors and presume that this was another rebuilding year. Even though he's very quick to tell everyone that he didn't lose his outdoor legs, the time off meant nothing, blah, blah, blah. There are some correlations between 2024 Supercross and 2025 outdoors for Eli Tomac.
I'm totally with you on that because I feel the same way about it. And I think that Eli is one of the few people right now in the paddock that is not going to give you an excuse ever.
Well,
like he just will refuse to say that he was a little bit behind or something like that.
the caveat is moving manufacturers may disrupt the progression. Because obviously 2024 Supercross to 2025 Supercross, it was a rebuilding process and he's stuck with the same surroundings, meaning he could take advantage of it. Maybe that hurts, but I don't know, I just thought it was some sort of credit to Eli's outdoor season. My mate.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Do we want to get back to the second Kawi seat, though?
Yes. Well, maybe that could be Tomac.
Oh.
No, that was a rumor, though.
Coming home?
That was a rumor.
Vaguely. I don't think he wants to go back there.
No, and I think he was already signed to KTM. I don't really know. No one really got to that was a rumor, but no one could really get to the bottom of like whether it had any truth to it. But yeah, outside of Craig, yeah, I don't know. Maybe there is a chance that they just run Chase for Supercross.
I know that Barcia's deal isn't done yet, right?
I said this. Yeah, Barcia said in my press day interview that he hasn't signed with Ducati yet. He's very, 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 very far down the road with Ducati. Like, he couldn't be further down the road. He's basically just waiting for a signature. Like, there's no negotiations happening now. It's effectively a done deal. It's just not legally a done deal. But I think if I'm Barcia, then I'm taking advantage of that and I'm knocking on the door and being like, "Hey," because Barcia's the
raise
best
your
bet.
stock at least. Yeah. Your dollar value goes up if you go to Kawi and say, "Hey, this thing," and then go back to Ducati and say, "Well, Kawi is going to offer me a contract," and they go, "No, sign it right now."
Well, the only issue is that I guess it's risky because you're like, "Well, what if Kawi shut me down?" And then Ducati are pissed off and go, "Well, we don't want you now anyway." I guess that's
How would they know? Like, if you go to Kawi behind closed doors, as an agent should do in this situation, and you just negotiate something, and if they put something on the table, there you go. Then you go back to Ducati and say, "What do you guys think? Like, this is what they're offering."
I mean, you're still kind of being a bit of a dick. So I guess it's whether you're comfortable with that and kind of burning the bridge with Ducati, because Ducati would be pissed.
I feel like Barcia is not afraid of doing something like that, though.
No. I think no. I actually disagree.
Not to say that he wants to be a dick. I just think that he's at a stage in his career where it's like kind of NFG. I'm okay with walking away at this point if I'm in his shoes.
Yeah, but the relationship with Ziggy, like he has, like I say, he's so far down the road with Ducati that he is fairly comfortable with those people. But yeah, that's honestly, of all the riders that have not officially put pen to paper, Barcia's the best bet by far.
Yeah.
And then Craig for Supercross only, and then I guess just Chase.
I bet this is crazy to me to think that like there's these teams that have maybe a bike available that they won't fill it. Again, going back to the Beaumer KTM situation, like you're really going to say they're just going to go 3 450s and no 250 next year? Like they have a 250 motorcycle they are trying to sell and mechanics that would work on it.
Yeah, but
same thing with Kawi. Like I don't know.
I mean, on the flip side, you could say in GPs, KTM are likely to have just 2 450 riders across all their manufacturers. Like, what the fuck? You could say the same there. Like, why wouldn't you have more 450s? They're not signing anyone to take Hurling's spot.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a weird spot in our sport right now. I feel like we're having a lot of these weird changes go on.
Well, it's very weird to be like, there's a factory bike here. Who's going to take it? Who wants it? I mean, the ultimate loser in all of this is Tom Vial, because that would have been his spot without doubt. And who knows? Maybe there's some sort of clause in that Honda deal where he can walk away from it. I don't know. I'm kind of just saying shit. I think he's very locked in there. But if it had been a couple of weeks later that the Prado fallout had happened, you know that Tom Vial would have followed Chase there. Because Chase would have made that happen as well. You know, like, there's no doubt that would have been Tom Vial's spot.
Oh, yeah, because of the Chase relationship. I was trying to think of it from the standpoint of he would have still been stuck with a 1-year deal for not a lot of money. I don't think it would have changed that.
Well, would he have? It may have been a 2-year deal. Who knows?
No, I don't think so. I think they want to leave that available for 2027 to do some playing around if they can.
I think Kawi are probably done playing around. The same fuck around and find out is really relevant to Kawasaki in the Prado situation.
Now that this situation with Prado has happened, I think they will remain tepid a little bit about what's going to happen with Chase. They obviously signed a 2-year deal? It's not a 3-year deal, is it?
I don't know.
Well, let's say it's a 2-year deal. I think that they want to not have two guys locked down for the next 2 years. They want to have some free range to move stuff around if they can.
Well, if you were Tom in this scenario, I think you have all the leverage, because who else, to the point of this conversation, who else are they going to get?
Well, they just get a guy that for this year does the job, Craig, Guillod, whatever, and then you start playing around with contracts next year, depending on who wins maybe a title for you in 250 Supercross.
I said to Kawi,
Garrett,
I said to someone at
Levi.
I said, well, no, Levi's. Yeah, but, this is perfect for Levi. Perfect.
It is.
And if any, I'm sure Levi can get out of his 2-year Mitch Payton contract to stay on Kawasaki. I don't know why that wouldn't happen. I mean, I know he's not exactly at his best at the moment, so maybe he wants to continue to rebuild after the Daytona crash with another year on 250s, etc., etc. But this is just perfect for Levi. Absolutely perfect. But I don't think that's going to happen. So,
but to my point with that, I think that there's every chance where Levi wins the 250 Supercross title in 26 and is on a Kawi 450 by 27. Even in the midst of his 2-year PC deal, they find a way, they renegotiate, they buy Mitch out of his contract, whatever it is. I could see that happening.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So you don't sign a 2-year deal with Tom Vial because you want that as an option.
Yeah, but if they wanted that as an option so bad, they wouldn't have signed Chase and Jorge.
Well, Jorge's gone.
Yeah, I know, but point being, you're saying like there's no way they want to keep Levi in a 250 until 2027. Well, they stacked the deck to make it that way. The status quo has changed because
of Jorge.
Yes,
the status quo has changed because of Jorge. So now they have free range
again.
What's the
difference between Levi and Vial? Other than we're arguing about a rider who's already under contract with another team, but what's the difference between Kitchen and Vial? Except Vial's actually a much more successful Supercross rider.
Because I think Kitchen's potential is still higher.
I think that you give Vial a year
And
an
Izzy
option.
Vial has what, 3 wins? Kitchen has 2? 3? Kitchen has 3 too.
Vial has 2 titles. It really would have been perfect for Vial. It's actually a real shame. Like Vial missed the boat quite literally. Just a couple of weeks later, and this all could have turned out much better for him. Shame, real shame.
I mean, well, no, because what he signed his Honda deal mid outdoors, and things were going far from swimmingly with him, with Prado and Kawi by that point. So I'm sure you could have, if your Vial's team, been like, hello, knock, knock. Like, you guys need a rider for next year already?
Well, maybe, yeah, but I'm saying, like, I think by 3 weeks later, like Ironman sort of time or that break, I think that's when it really fell down. So if it had just been a little bit longer. But yeah.
Okay, so who ends up on the Kawi seat in your
I have
opinion?
no fucking idea.
Nobody?
I have no idea.
Nobody? More likely they do nobody or a fill-in / Supercross only guy.
A PC rider.
One PC
At
rider.
some point next year.
Why not just
I swear to God, if you say Guillod one more time.
No, why not just have someone do opposite coast?
They could do that. That's probably the safest bet.
I don't know who. Marchbanks, I guess, maybe, but
Yeah, that's probably the safest bet. Just base it off of who's flying at the test track, who's ready for West, etc., etc.
there you go.
Yeah, I think that's what they end up probably doing. Something of that variation. Or just Chase in Supercross and then Chase and insert Pro Circuit rider here for outdoors. Ultimately, what value does a second rider really bring? That's another question for another day.
I think the second rider brings value in the fact that if the first rider gets hurt, you have someone on the track still doing successful things for your brand.
Yeah, but then how many times does a second rider go completely unnoticed? I mean, obviously, to clarify, there are stipulations in contracts with Monster and whatnot where they just need a bike on track. It doesn't matter what it's doing. So yeah, from that point of view, I think Kawi need a second rider purely from the sake of safety because they've been in such turbulent times for years now with no success and no bikes a lot of the time. I think they just need a solid, like, win or not with Chase, they just need a solid season with bikes on the track.
I agree. That's exactly the reason why you need a second rider, because who knows what could happen. Chase has been a rock for a long time, but every chance he just, cracks a leg at the first round or something stupid, and then what are you going to do? So I'm not saying it will happen, but you never know. Like, that's why you come prepared. So putting no one on the bike is the wrong move. I think you put someone, I don't know who, Guillod, but whatever.
Poor Vial.
Poor Vial. You got another topic?
Well, we're way past an hour now.
That's okay.
Let's just end on this. This will be a nice little way to end. St. Louis is going to be massive. Because if Jet wins again, Jet can really just manage the situation at the finals. Triple points or not, he's kind of going to be super safe. So Chase and Eli and Hunter really... I mean, even if Eli and Hunter win in St. Louis, their points situation still isn't ideal. But St. Louis is a must-win for Chase, Hunter, and Eli. Absolutely a must-win.
Yeah. Well, if he does win it, he will be far enough up in the standings that he can finish third.
Yeah, exactly. And that's also kind of controversial for SMX because the reason we have this point structure is so that it is always going to be winner takes all at the final round. So this will really kind of find fault in the SMX layout. So yeah, I think this is massive. Massive weekend. And I mean, you could say similar for Hayden in 250s.
Oh yeah, but I am of the opinion now that, I mean, maybe Joe does something this weekend, but Hayden's got this thing pretty well figured out in 250s already. The fact that he started where he did in that one moto and walked to the front is evidence that no one else except Joe is really on the same level, and Joe found a way to hit the ground when he probably could have won that race. So what are you going to do? But yeah, no, I think, I don't know that I saw a weakness from Jet this past weekend again either. The start, the managing the race, the responding to pressure, pulling gaps. Like, what are these guys going to do? He's just the best right now, you know?
Yeah, but St. Louis is such a different setting. I mean, Jet didn't race in a stadium since Glendale.
Yeah.
The last time we saw him in a stadium, they weren't happy with their bike. There's a lot. St. Louis is arguably set up quite well to favour, or not favour, but to at least give the other guys a good shot. And I think Chase and Eli did seem to have Jet's number at points in the Charlotte main event. So I think it can happen. It just starts with the start.
But do you not believe that Jet was just kind of like controlling that race, and when those guys picked it up, he was just like, yeah, I'll just go 2 seconds a lap faster because I can.
Yeah, sure, but equally, if Chase and Eli start ahead of Jet, I don't think the Jet just blows past them both, you know?
I don't know. He did that a lot outdoors.
Yeah, well, not to Chase.
Yes.
No, that's true.
Well,
no, that's true.
But also no, because him and Chase went back and forth, and Jet was like, I'm not letting you go. Passed him right back. So
I'm not sure how that's relevant.
Because I think that Jet is able to respond to anything right now. He's just in that zone. So if he does start behind them, I think he'll go snipe them for the lead and then start going into Jet management mode again.
I saw enough from Chase and Eli in Charlotte to have faith that we can have a different winner in St. Louis.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I hope so, because I don't want this to be a runaway, but it's just tough to find a weakness right now. That's what I'm saying is, like, if you could explain that middle part of the race from Jet was definitely him not finding the groove, uncomfortable with setup or whatever, but it looked so obvious that he was just like, yeah, they get close. I got 2 more seconds in hand. And he whole shots the race every time. And his fitness seems to be a little bit better. Like, there's just not a weakness.
Well, I will argue, I don't think his fitness is better than Chase. And I would also argue that, I don't know, I just argue all of that. I think the start will be huge in St. Louis because looking at the track map, I think it's going to be fast, and I don't think there's going to be any room for pass or many places to pass, purely because everyone's going to be doing the same jumps everywhere, because it's like fast, like turn, triple, turn, double, like everyone's going to be carrying similar speed. So I think the start is going to be massive. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, you're right, but okay, go back to my point. Who's been getting all the hole shots? Who hole shot the first race this weekend? But
the counter is the Honda guys' starts in Supercross have been hit or miss depending on the dirt. And St. Louis normally has the type of dirt that they're good on out of the gate, so that works in their favour, but then we don't know at this point of the year. Jet and Hunter have gone on record as saying that the Honda 450 isn't as good out the gate if it's slick dirt. It needs dirt to kind of grab onto. So we'll see what St. Louis brings.
But okay, so again, but that's funny because look, during the delay this weekend, they've replayed Vegas last year on the Peacock broadcast, and guess who was 1-2 off the start on the slickest dirt of the schedule? So, like, you know what I mean? Like they've got to figure it out, man. They've got the total package right now. So I hope so, but I struggle to find the weakness necessary for these guys to penetrate.
Well, I have at least some hope.
Okay, well, I'm just excited to go to a place where we're not going to get rained out. It's going to be a swell time indoors. We're going to be up in the rafters all weekend, Lewis. Good times.
I'm just excited for a Supercross.
Is it Supercross?
It's close enough. I'm excited for the Supercross vibe.
Yeah. Is this going to feel more like an actual Supercross or like the SMX Manufacturers Cup thingy?
Well, to feel like the SMX Manufacturers Cup, there would have to be no one there. So I don't think that's going to happen. No, I think it will feel like a Supercross because I'd imagine opening ceremonies will be very Supercrossy, and that will set the tone of like Supercross vibe.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our show, I guess. Right? You got anything else?
Let's end.
All right, good stuff. Thanks again to Leatt, Racetech, Namura, and Partzilla for backing the show. That's been another LVK More Than Moto podcast. We'll be back after St. Louis to recap what we see inside of the Dome at America Center and so much more here on LVK. So thanks for tuning in. See you guys next week.